main event, if you will, the opportunity to connect with our panelists. I invite our panelists to come up and grab a seat on the stage here. While they're doing so, just want to take the opportunity to really thank all of them for choosing to be a part of this on a busy day on campus. The students are moving in and being able to connect with them. But we really do appreciate the breadth and of resources that we have represented here to share information with you all, highlight, and then also have you have the opportunity to have a live Q&A with as well. For them to get, when they get started, they'll do their own introduction, so I won't do that for them. But to give them a little support for being here, why don't we just give them a little round of applause and thank you for being here. Yes, indeed. Thank you for indulging me on that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the panel. I'll ask the first question. They have been slightly prepared for this one. But if you can share your name, your role on campus, the office you represent, and a brief little short explanation of what your office does on our campus, how they help support students during their first year would be great. And we can start on the far end with you, Nick, and then head down towards me.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nick Warrior, I am the Director of Community Engagement and DEI at the Department of Public Safety here on the Twin Cities campus. My department represents the University of Minnesota Police Department, our youth security team, and our 911 dispatch center. So we are in charge of all University of Minnesota property here, East Bank, West Bank, and St. Paul. We have our Gopher, Chauffeur, and our 624 walk program that's operated by our university security team. We also have the off-campus safety center in Dinkytown, which is operated by the Department of Public Safety and my team, which is the community engagement team. We also have about 62 sworn police officers on campus, and our primary jurisdiction is all UofM property, East Bank, West Bank, and St. Paul campus as we go through. We do take some calls for the city of Minneapolis and the Dinkytown area through a mutual aid agreement, and we also investigate crimes in that particular area as well. But our primary thing that we like to push is always our 624 walk and our Gopher Chauffeur program. We also do a lot of the active threat trainings, self-defense workshops, situational awareness trainings on campus. And this year we're partnering with the Aurora Center to do empowerment self-defense. And those classes are free, and they will be at the off-campus safety center. We're doing one a month for those classes.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Katie Russell. I work in the Office of Undergraduate Education. My role is the Director of Undergraduate Policy and Curriculum Administration, which means that my team really focuses on the undergraduate curriculum, collaborating with the colleges to ensure that as programs are developed and updated, that they align with university policy and are clear and transparent for students and that they can be completed and within 4 years. We also, I think, as a larger unit beyond just our curriculum policy team, we work with One Stop Student Services as part of the Office of Undergraduate Education. You may have already interacted with that office. The Center for Academic Planning and Exploration, so where students who are undecided or are looking at potentially changing colleges can go and get support through that process. The Tutoring and Academic Success Center, we encourage all students to access their resources and get tutoring early and often throughout the semester. The Office of Undergraduate Research, we encourage all students to pursue research opportunities, and that office supports that and provides opportunities to do that. And then finally, another office that I'll mention as part of the Office of Undergraduate Education is the office that brought us all here today, Orientation and Transition Experiences.
Hello, my name is Manus Clark. I use he, him pronouns, and I work in the Housing and Residential Life Office, and we provide housing, on-campus housing for all the students who choose to live on campus. About 80% of all of the students who live on campus are first-year students, so our highly concentration of students who are transitioning and our first-year students to campus. We also maintain an off-campus housing listing service that we work closely with the Office of Off-Campus Housing as well that Megan may talk about.
Thanks, Mannix. Hi, everyone. It's so good to see you all here this afternoon. I hope it's been a good day so far. My name is Megan Miller-Toole. I use she, her pronouns. My role on campus is as Associate Vice President for Student Engagement and Belonging. And that is one of the offices, amongst many, in our Office for Student Affairs. My primary role is in working with 7 of our engagement-related units. So all kinds of things that help support your student outside the classroom. The 7 that I get to work with is student unions and activities, so the building that you are in right now and all of the events that happen as a result of that. Off-campus living, as Mannix already mentioned. Student legal service, if you don't know already, your student has effectively an attorney on retainer through student legal service, no additional charge through their student services fee. We also have student government, Gopher Family Engagement, so Gavin's over there from that team, and Radio K, as well as fraternity and sorority life. So lots of the things, if your student wants to join a student group, which they should, if they want to get connected on campus, which they should and we want them to, all those things fall under my area. So I look forward to helping share that information with you all and sharing it with students later on.
Thank you. My name is Colleen McDonald. I go by she, her, hers pronouns. I'm the Associate Vice President of Health and Wellbeing and the Director of Boynton Health. We are your one-stop shop for your student to get all their healthcare needs met. I'm also, and being that, I would talk about we have medical urgent care. So we have walk-in urgent care and a Gopher Quick Clinic, which is like a minute clinic that students can come to. We have dental services, mental health and counseling, which Joy will talk about. Nutrition, I'm looking at the list because the list is long. Physical therapy. We also offer some other services that are more focused on student needs, like we have Pet Away Worries and Stress, which we have some information here about today. That's animal therapy that we offer for students free of charge. We also offer a basic needs Nutritious You food pantry, which is located on this floor, and to meet students who are struggling with not having enough food. And I also run the health insurance plan for the students. So kind of a wide breadth of things. We're here to answer all your questions, and we have lots of resources for your student to keep them healthy and well. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Good afternoon. I'm Joy Johnson Lind, she, her pronouns, and I'm the Senior Director of Mental Health and Counseling at Boynton Health. So mental health and counseling, we offer a variety of services. Certainly from the mental health and counseling perspective, we have individual and group therapy and offer a variety of programming, workshops, different group, support groups, etc. And then we have our team of psychiatrists, so a psychiatry department that interfaces both with our mental health group and certainly with our primary care providers. I would say our goal is to really support and encourage both you and your student to ask for what they need. We have a variety of services on the continuum from some outreach activities where we're really working to get into the community that students live and that they are a part of, to offer even informal kind of entree into therapy and counseling, what that might look like, a program called Let's Talk. We're proud to offer Let's Talk every day of the academic year, and it really allows students to start someplace. If you don't know where to start or what you need, it's a really community-based space where students can ask questions and figure out what the right path is. Some of the resources within Boynton also include some case management or care coordination, which for some students, if they're maybe receiving care that's community-based, they might want to transition to Boynton, really helping to piece together the different aspects and kind of pieces of puzzle of their care. The other resource is that we do offer urgent counseling, which is really a same-day walk-in resource available for students that may have something urgent that's come up or something that's just led them to that they need to talk to someone today and now. And certainly we've had folks kind of throughout and amongst this table, their team members walking students over to Boynton to really get in the moment of their need. So happy to answer additional questions for you and how you support your students.
So it's really incredible, all of the offices that we have here represented, and really to be able to answer your questions very robustly from a lot of different perspectives and be able to give you a lot of great information. And to our next question that I would have for you, and we can do it in a way that you don't have to all answer if you don't want to, but you certainly can. If you would like to share a story of a time or a moment that you can recall when you or your office supported a student or a family member. If we want to start on this opposite end and go back away, give Nick some time to think. No, I'm just kidding. He probably has an answer already. But if Joy, you'd like to start, or if you have an example, or otherwise we can go to Colleen too.
Well, yeah, are many examples I can think of, and I think as Colleen, as you pointed out, really Boynton Health being that one-stop shop for students, I can think of examples where students they experienced kind of piecemeal care where they're someone in community, some would still maybe even seeing a provider from home. They may have prescriptions that they're not sure who kind of owns or who can help support and fill that. So really helping, I think, through our care coordination model and through resources within mental health, primary care, really helping students to organize their care. And so recognizing, I think we spoke a little bit last time about teaching and kind of educating on health literacy, that it can be a really complicated, for all of us, healthcare is complicated. And certainly as students are departing from that home environment where maybe a parent or a guardian, family member was really helping to kind of guide and manage that, all of a sudden the student is 18 or above and they're put in this position to manage it kind of independently. So we're working to build in some resources and really a safety net to help guide and help coordinate care so students are getting the care that they need when they need it.
I hear often the stories that are, I would say, come from our patient status, we call it patient satisfaction survey, and a lot of them, one particular that I'm thinking of was a staff person who sent a student over who was struggling with some mental health challenges, also needed some medical care, and what the staff person talked about was how our staff was able to gently walk this student through all the different services to make sure she got what she needed, and that she became engaged in the care and engaged in doing the services and felt really comfortable. And she was kind of at the edge there, really struggling. So I think that's one example. And we'll have a little bit time to talk about it, but I think also that establishment of care as a parent, you can also encourage your students to come in and be seen if they need to be seen right away so they have a relationship started before they get sick, right? Before they get sick. So I think those are the kind of some of the pieces that I think we offer that's different. We are really set up for the students for this age group. So it's kind of our specialty. So I think that's what you should know about the work we do.
Okay, I've got a lot of them, but I'm only going to give you one example right now. We can do more later. There was a family member that I met at orientation a couple of years ago. I was giving one of the presentations at orientation. We connected. Sometimes that happens through Gopher Family Engagement, where a family member will reach out to Gavin. Gavin isn't expected actually to solve all the problems, just in case you're wondering. His job is to help connect people. You'll also notice that all of us at this table know each other pretty well and connect very often. So this family member reached out and said, okay, I've got a list of things that I'm concerned about for my student. I'm concerned that they are struggling to figure out what major that they want to major in. I'm concerned that they aren't making friends quite as quickly as I hoped they would. And I'm concerned about them accessing the Disability Resource Center because they haven't done that yet. So there's a list of things that they were worried about. And I said, okay, do you want me to have folks reach out to your student to check on them? And she's like, no, we're not at that point yet. I just want to be armed with the information that I need so that I can help support them along the way. I said, okay, great. I said, if you ever get to the point where you want someone to reach out, you let me know, and we will have the care team reach out, we will work with someone else. Important thing to know, whenever we reach out to a student on behalf of a family member, we let the student know why we're reaching out, because otherwise it's creepy. That one of us is just like, we think you might be concerned about such and such. They're like, well, how do you possibly know that? So we let them know why we're reaching out. So anyway, we had this long series of conversations, and I said, okay, here's the things you might want to consider mentioning to your student. You don't have to even tell them where you got it. You could just tell them that you got it by Googling, because all of it is available that way. And so we walked through all the different ways that she could prime her student and, drop in little nuggets of information along the way. We ended up talking a couple of different times over her student's experience, because every time we'd talk about a couple of nuggets. I'd follow up with an email, including what we talked about and the links and the resources. And it made her feel more comfortable being a supporter of her student at the university. And we welcome that. We want students to have their own agency and find their own way to do things, but sometimes there's a lot to know here. And so if you can hear it from different people, it can be really valuable. That's one of the kinds of relationships we love to have with our family members and able to support students as best as possible. Student was successful, went on to graduate, all was good.
I think I would group all mine into one. And part of the thing is, a lot of times when I get called, it's usually people who are worried about their student being lonely or not connecting. And I think in housing, what we try to do is to refer them out to their CA, community advisors, what we call, there's some campuses call them resident assistants or RAs, we call them CAs. And to see if that CA can maybe take them to dinner or have them do some things on the floor. We do some programming type of things that they can try to get them connected. Sometimes we're an institution that has a number of single rooms, and sometimes you have to get out to meet people if you're in a single room. It's not as easy if you have a roommate to do that. So we try to provide them resources. We also have a full-time residence director who has a master's degree that lives in every one of our buildings that oversees that CA staff. So we have a lot of resources that we can kind of push to make sure that the students are making those connections that we know that they need in order to be successful.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so we recently, our office heard from a parent that compared to the institutions that their other children attended, we were the most responsive of universities because we take their concerns seriously. So that's meaningful for us to hear and also a point of bragging, I acknowledge. So thank you for your patience with that. But we really do. We strive to really listen when students and families are frustrated or encountering roadblocks and work with others across campuses, both here at this table and in the colleges, to get folks connected with the resources that can improve their situations. One story we have recently, a dad called our office while he was on the road to campus out of concern for his daughter. And we talked through that concern on the phone while he was driving, and by the time he arrived on campus, we had an email in his inbox connecting him to people on campus who could address his daughter's specific concerns. So really trying to be timely and responsive and meet folks where they are as we are able. And so that isn't to say that we magically make things happen for students, but that we are here to listen and connect to resources because, as others have said, this campus might feel big, overwhelming, confusing, intimidating, but there are people everywhere who care deeply about students. And so I'm telling a story from our Central Office of Undergraduate Education space. Most students and families are not in contact with our office, but they are reaching out to their academic advisors, their faculty, and that's where things are addressed. But if concerns continue to arise, there are other resources on campus to step in as well.
So with the police department, when you call 911, when your student calls 911, we are there to respond. And that is our primary mission, is respond to 911 calls. Whether it's a medical, or it's a criminal act or civil act, we're there to respond. But one of the other things that we do is we teach students how to be situational aware of what's going on and around campus. For a lot of kids, this is the first time that they're away from home. This is the first time that they're in a big city. This is the first time they ride light rail. This is the first time that they're by themselves, not knowing if they have the confidence to make it here. And so through our empowering self-defense workshops, through our classes that we teach about active shooter, through the classes we teach about situational awareness, it's really about empowerment. We create a lot of opportunities where we can go out as a police department and talk to students about this is what it's like to live on campus. This is what it's like to ride the light rail. This is what it's like to live in the big city. And we try to go over a lot of that so they're prepared mentally, but to know that they have the confidence that they can make it on their own. And they can make it here as well as their academic journey, as they can be successful at that once they feel empowered to do that. And so we try to get in front of as many students as we can, create a lot of opportunities where we can engage with the students to talk to them about safety, not only personnel safety, but safety on and around campus as well.
Thank you very much. I also recognize that I said I would put there we go, the QR code on the screen, and I didn't. So if you want to continue to submit questions, go ahead. I'm also looking at those, and we'll start us off with one of these. Again, if you feel like you have a relevant answer, you can chime in, but by no means am I expecting that all of you are responding to every question. So the first one that I would like to highlight, it kind of touches on some of what we had mentioned earlier about reaching out to the Disability Resource Center. For example, my student was approved for accommodations with the Disability Resource Center, and is it recommended that they reach out and follow up with the Disability Resource Center to get those shared with professors, or will that happen automatically? If anyone feels able to speak to that in particular.
I can talk about it. So great first step. So glad that the student has already connected with the DRC and had that initial conversation. DRC, again, means Disability Resource Center. And it's important, if your student had a 504 or an IEP in their K-12 experience, they may want to go ahead and reach out to the DRC early on. It's always a good thing to do it early. I was chatting with a family member earlier, and their student experiences pretty regular migraines. And I said, your student really needs to connect with the DRC early on to talk about what accommodations, because one of the worst things possible is going to be to wake up in the morning with an awful migraine and not have a plan in place. Because that's just going to cause more stress, and it's going to make the entire situation that much worse. So great job that they've already done that legwork. What happens with the DRC is that once a student has been approved for accommodations, they generally will give that student a letter that the student can provide to their instructors. That doesn't generally come straight from the DRC to the instructor. It comes as a pass-through from the student. The letter does not include what the diagnosis is or what the disability is. It only includes what the accommodations are. And so then the student can provide that letter to their instructor and can also have a follow-up conversation for how that is going to play out in that particular class. So it provides a level of support from the DRC. It provides an amount of accountability and agency on behalf of the student to start engaging in those conversations, and the ability to have follow-up as needed. So please encourage your student to work with their Disability Resource Center liaison to go for the next steps there.
I'd like to, oops.
You want this one?
Oh, try it again. Okay, thank you. I'd like to also add, if they are receiving any medication, right, for their disability, they're getting ADHD medication, they have asthma, I'm just, these are all the examples. We do have a pharmacy at Boynton, so this is the time to transfer their scripts over. You want to get that done. They also, if they do have ADHD, they could also schedule a first appointment with somebody just to talk through what their plan is. So again, that they're not going into it, cold feet, with the cold feet. They could actually have that relationship with the provider started. Hey, I've been diagnosed with ADHD. I'm stable on my medications, but in case something comes up, I just wanted to meet with you and establish some care. So we have those options. And I would recommend too that, again, if you have asthma or other kinds of concerns, that they try to schedule a meeting with a provider to begin with before they actually get sick. That'll make a huge difference, because then someone's going to know what their care plan is, if that's helpful. So that would, again, avoid a lot of steps that they can do when they're feeling okay. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'll go, the next question is, what is the best way for my student to find community on campus?
There's so many ways. I think Mannix can talk a little bit about housing-related communities. I'll talk about a few other things. Earlier, Samantha went through the Welcome Week schedule with you all, and there's a couple of pieces that I would really highlight in that Welcome Week schedule that will help your student create community. One is that a number of the pieces that are highlighted were, there's a few required events. That's great, that's important, those are super valuable for your student to attend. They should really also attend the other events. So the events that are happening, one example, of course, tomorrow night is Rec and Connect. So they're going to go from their small group meeting to, I think, Gopher Experience, and then Pride and Spirit, and then after that is Rec and Connect. It is on the way from where they're going. They're going to be at the stadium, and then it's on the way after that. The whole purpose of Rec and Connect is to introduce students to the Recreation and Wellbeing Center. Great place to meet people. If they get engaged in intramurals, other activities, they'll meet people there. But Rec and Connect is designed to help students learn how to start talking to people. So it encourages them and actually provides them with rewards and incentives for going up to another student and introducing themselves and saying hello and engaging in a conversation. Again, trying to get them to feel comfortable in this new space. I would say that is one great opportunity. Another is going to be the campus activities fair that will happen. There's an organization fair on Saturday as part of Welcome Week, and then there's an activities fair later on. Regardless of where your student is living, that is an opportunity for them to get engaged in a student group. I think it's really important that your student try to get engaged in at least 2 things this fall. Maybe a student group, maybe student employment on campus, whatever it is, at least 2 things, because that is going to help them feel confident and more comfortable and start meeting people who have similar interests. So for any student, regardless of where they're living, that's a great opportunity. they're living off campus. On the second floor of this building is a space called the Commuter Connection. Highly recommend our commuter students visit that space, get comfortable, meet the students in there. It's a good landing space. They can store food, they can store their materials during the day if they need to, and connect with other people. If they're living on campus, housing has a ton of opportunities. I'll let Mannix talk.
Yeah, we have a program we call groups, where one of those students can create a group, and then they can apply for some funds that we have set aside in order to do that. The example I usually give is like we have Minnesota Vikings groups, and on Sunday they may meet and get popcorn or something to watch the games together. Our goal is really to get those students making those connections, so that they do the things to be retained for the next year. And so that's really big for us. We think that outside the classroom there, as Megan mentioned, a lot of our students join together to do intramurals together. There's a lot of different connections I think the on-campus experience can give them. In addition, they can connect with some of the students off campus. We also have living learning communities, so if your students living on campus and part of one of the learning communities, they also do a number of engagement opportunities to help them get that community together. I always say dining is a great way. If they go in the dining hall, they can sit with somebody. Even if they go in this building and they're downstairs, they can find somebody to sit with, and mostly people will just chat because they like just to talk and to meet people. I know sometimes it seems hard, but that's just an easy way to meet people.
Elaborating on that question then, because there's also a couple additions that have come in. If the student is specifically gay, first gen, or BIPOC, are there other ways also that they can connect and find community on our campus?
Absolutely. So also on the second floor of this building are cultural centers. And we've got a good number of cultural centers that are identity-based. They're open to any student, but they provide a connection point for students of shared identities, whether that may be a queer student or a student with a particular cultural background. They can connect there. Sometimes those organizations also do educational pieces across campus. Really good opportunity to hang out and be around folks, again, with a shared lived experience. There's also affinity groups, Colleen?
Yep, so Boynton has some affinity groups for different communities, as well as the Office of Equity and Diversity has different cultural groups as well. They have the Gender Sexuality Center for Queer and Trans Life. They have the First Gen Institute, which tomorrow is the Families First event, which will be really fun. So there's a lot, just tons of ways for people to engage on campus and find their affinity groups. Yeah. And support, I would say.
Thank you. The next one then is, my student bought the health insurance plan. We're not sure how it works. Does our health insurance cover expenses, and what does that look like?
Sure, this is a great question. So if you bought the student health benefit plan, your student would be covered completely under that plan. So the question that we had earlier was, what if I have my student on an insurance plan? How will I know it's working? So there's two options that you have for your student. One is, if you have insurance and you want to keep the student on your insurance plan, then you would make sure that your student is covered while they're here, that we're a network provider, okay? And that's really important because you want to make sure that your student has all the benefits needed if something happens, like what happens if they have to go to the emergency room or they break an arm or something like that. Stay away from the e-scooters, by the way. We had our first e-scooter injury this Monday. So that's one thing. So if they are, that should be adequate for showing their proof of insurance if they're covered under your plan, and they could be seen at our location. If not, and they purchase the student health benefit plan, which is a really good comprehensive plan, they'll be covered at Boynton as well, and they'll also be covered out in the community if they need to go. So the requirement is that they have insurance and they have to show proof of insurance. And you have your own option of the plan that you have, and then you have this, they call it the student health benefit plan option. Yeah. And I know all the international students have to sign up for the student health benefit plan. And there's some special pieces to that plan that cover international students. Okay? Thank you.
Another question here is it easy to transfer between colleges within the university?
Often, yes. I would say about 30% of our students do transfer between colleges. The structure of the University of Minnesota is that all students are admitted to a college, but we know 17, 18, 19-year-olds and older are likely to change their mind. And so it's not that they are absolutely in that college. Often transfers happen with applications in late fall, early spring, and then students begin in their new college in the following fall. There are sometimes prerequisite courses that students can start taking. So if a student is in the College of Biological Sciences right now, but they're interested in transferring to the College of Liberal Arts, they can start taking courses toward that CLA major now. They don't necessarily have to wait. So my advice is that the student reach out to their academic advisor, and that person can help them to navigate the transfer process. If they're a little more undecided and aren't sure where they want to transfer, the Center for Academic Planning and Exploration is another great resource where they can meet with a coach, talk about their interests, possible majors on campus, so they can make an informed decision for themselves.
Great, thank you. The next one, can you explain more about the Gopher Chauffeur and 624 Walk program? How does that work? Are these offerings used very often by students?
Yes, they are. Gopher Chauffeur, basically it's a free ride. 7 days a week from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. There's an app that the student downloads called Translock. And then it's like requesting like a Uber ride. You request a ride from one of our Gopher chauffeurs, and that's operated by the U Security Department. 624 Walk is a walking escort, uniformed walking escort that's available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And that's actually available to anybody coming to the University of Minnesota campus, as long as you start or end at a university property. And both services do go off of property. We go about a mile off of property. So like most of everybody here will be living in the dorms this year, but as they start to look for living arrangements for next year, if they're still within that 1 mile radius of the East Bank, West Bank, or St. Paul campus, they can still use the Gopher Chauffeur and the 624 Walk program. Last semester, the 624 Walk, there was an average wait time of about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the busiest times. The Gopher Chauffeur was our first year that we had taken over the program, and actually we expanded the hours because student wanted more hours. So before it was 9 to 1, now it's 8 to 1. And actually the busiest times are earlier in the evening. So that 8 to about 10:30 was our busiest times last school year. So there was a little bit of a longer wait, but just because there was more demand for that. We do have 5 vehicles that are operating. We have 2 on East Bank, 1 on West Bank, 1 on the St. Paul campus, and then we do have an ADA compliant vehicle as well. The 624 Walk program, even though it says walk, we do have vehicles available. So if your student is, say, at Walter Library, which is over here on the East Bank, and they live on the St. Paul campus, or they want to go to the St. Paul campus, they can call the 624 Walk program. We will bring a vehicle, and then we will drive them to the St. Paul campus. It's kind of a long walk if you take the trans away, but we will drive them as they go. And as we know, as it gets a little bit colder here in a few months, so some people don't like to walk in the cold, so we'll drive them as well. But yes, they do get heavily used, and so they do have to kind of budget their time when requesting both those services. They should kind of, buffer in a good, half hour for the 624 Walk, again, depending on what time they're leaving, just based on the schedules.
Great. The next one is, when is the right time to start looking for housing options for their second year?
Depends on who you ask.
It's a very loaded question. I believe, and my colleagues up here could say, as a university, we would say there's plenty of time to wait. So if they want to start the process in November, December, that is perfectly fine. There's off-campus providers today who have space open off-campus, so students still can get that. They probably already see people advertising the apartments, advertising right now for next year's housing. And some students think that they can't wait, and there may be some properties that fill up earlier. Part of the reason is it's very hard when they're just moving in now, getting to know who their roommate is and trying to figure out who they're living with next year. So we would prefer they wait, but we also know that it's hard when the pressure from the outside is doing there. We will do an off-campus housing fair in late November this year, right before Thanksgiving, if I remember right, that will have some of those properties there. So it really depends. I don't know if anybody else. I think we would prefer them to wait to kind of learn and then to understand about the schedule that they pick and where they're going to be at. There's a lot of things that could come into play, but they will see the pressure from the off-campus community right away, probably next week.
They really do. And that's why I said, it depends on who you ask. If you ask an apartment owner, of course, they're running a business, right? They want to fill up all their contracts as quickly as they possibly can. Really best practice, as Mannix mentioned, is we want them to feel comfortable on campus. We want them to start making friends. I can tell you from my collegiate experience, I made friends my first week, but it wasn't until, 2, 3, 4 months later that I started finding my people. That I actually wanted to spend time with and live with. And that, that's gonna depend on every student. Some will find it earlier, some will find it later than that. But it's a real bummer to get locked into an apartment with people that aren't your, best choice at that point in time earlier. As Mannix mentioned, even right now, there are open apartments out there in the Dinkytown, Stadium Village area around campus. So for students right now who needed an apartment for the fall, they could get it. So as your student is making decisions for next year, like Mannix said, housing fair in November, I think February is a really good time to make a decision.
And for the on-campus to return, next year we will do ours in February. So that's when they will pick if they want to stay on campus again.
Also, family members, you will have an incredible resource, in my opinion. We'll be hosting a webinar on housing options for next year in early October, online on Zoom, featuring Mannix, and additionally, we'll add representatives from off-campus living and student legal service to talk all about that. The legal considerations of signing a lease, all off-campus apartment options, as well as on-campus options too. So a very robust conversation. I encourage you to check that out as well. More information to follow. Stay tuned with Gopher Family Engagement.
Gavin, thank you for mentioning student legal service. One of the things that our student legal service does is they review leases. So before your student signs an apartment lease, tell them to go make an appointment with an attorney, like professional, full-time attorney, not a student attorney, an attorney, to review their lease. They know what to look for. A lot of the apartment buildings in the area are owned by national corporations, and so they have a kind of a big national lease. Not all of it applies to Minnesota. And so SLS attorneys can look at it, help coach the student, help guide them on things they might want to negotiate or things to be aware of. That is for no additional charge for your student. They pay a student services fee every semester, and part of that goes to support student legal service, and they have a number of different areas of practice, but one of them is landlord-tenant. So not only just reviewing a lease, but also if they have a challenge with a landlord, maybe they aren't getting back their security deposit, SLS can help support them in getting that back. Really, really, really wonderful resource.
Then the next one is, what happens or what if a student feels ill in the middle of the night? Will they know resources to connect with or call? Will they have to go someplace? How can they obtain medication? What are some recommendations of things they can do?
Great question. So I've got these appointment pieces right here. So there's two things. One is we have an overnight nurse line. So your student can call the nurse line and tell them how they're feeling, what the symptoms are. And if they need to be seen right away, we have two options for them. We have this Gopher Quick Clinic, which is like a minute clinic that you'd see at like a CVS. You can walk in, get seen really quick. And we have an urgent care, so they can just walk in the door and be seen right away. So those are two options that they have. They can actually the Quick Clinic, you make an appointment online, but the walk-in urgent is always just walk-in urgent. So we have those opportunities, and those are Monday through Friday. That they could be accessed. So I've got some information here. We also have a portal, which is another great way to set up appointments. You can talk to your provider this way. So if they have a provider established, they could send them a message and say, what should I do? We also answer the phone during the day, of course, too, with questions that they might have, but then they can direct them into, wait a day, see how you're feeling, and then you can come in, or hey, but we need to see you right away. We're going to run some tests for flu. At our pharmacy, we also have over-the-counter medications for them, so they can buy at really low cost things like Tylenol, Mucinex, all those things you need when you're sick. Those are right there, and they can get those at pretty low cost in the pharmacy.
Then this next one, maybe multiple of you might respond to, but what is the best website to use for all things University of Minnesota? Is there one that encompasses everything versus needing to go to several different web pages?
That's a really big question. And others might have an opinion on this. I think that the thing that I like to do when I'm looking for something, and first of all, I've been at this institution for 20 years. I learn something new every single day. So set that as your benchmark and your expectation. My way of doing it, when I just go to Google, and my answer is always to Google what I think I might want to be looking for, plus umn.edu. So not together in one space, but like, let's say I wanted to look for healthcare space, umn.edu. It is going to bring you a list of options that are related to the university website. There's so much information out there, and I think there's not really one great website for all of the things. It's all on the umn.edu domain, but that can be a little bit hard to navigate. So use that keyword search plus umn.edu. Katie?
Yes, that's a great tip. And if you're looking for anything related to curriculum dates, deadlines, tuition, billing, payments, onestop.umn.edu is the place to go.
Good point.
I'm gonna and that. And if you're looking specifically for mental health or support in that way, it's mentalhealth.umn.edu. And there's a cool opportunity for students too, if they are not quite sure where to start, there's kind of a self-guided questionnaire of students being able to enter in symptoms, wonders, worries, concerns, and it really helps drive where they may be best positioned, if it's, you know, an online resource, if it's coming into Boynton, or if it's elsewhere. And so really strongly encourage folks, if that's kind of a first point, to really check that out and go through that process as well.
Also volunteer that Gopher Family Engagement, a little self-promotion here, but we are also willing to serve as that, touch point. So if you're you've done a little bit of a Google search, can't seem to find it, feel free to reach out, or even before your Google search, you do you. You can reach out and just ask that question, and we'd be happy to sort that out and try to figure out connecting to a certain campus or getting that response to you as well. We often do that and are glad to do that for you all as well. Oh, yes, yes, indeed. The other, let's see here, question, I'm trying to go through and make sure, thank you for those of you who are continuing to submit questions. Do all students need to turn in immunization records? If so, when and where? And are immunizations available on campus?
Yes, good question. So it depends a little bit where you need to turn them. There's a point, I think, in the online registration enrollment where you have to upload them. And I think we can pull at the end the website to show you. It's on the Boynton website. We have a whole page of vaccine information. So to be enrolled, they have to have their measles, mumps, rubella, which is particularly important now because we've had some measles outbreaks in the Twin Cities. And they need to have their Tdap, which is their tetanus, diphtheria, pertussis. We've actually had cases of pertussis too. So you want to make sure they get those done before they're on campus or while they're in campus right away. And then we have a whole other list on our website of vaccines that are recommended by the American College Health Association as well as other clinical associations for this age group. And some of them include hepatitis B, meningitis B, we have HPV vaccine to prevent cervical cancer. We have chickenpox. We also offer the flu. We don't have the flu quite yet, but we should have it like next week available. We don't have COVID right now, and that's a national issue. So when those protocols get decided by the CDC, then we'll be able to administer that. But we do offer COVID, and all of those are offered either walk-in in our clinic or by appointment, or the COVID and the flu are sometimes offered at our mass vaccine clinics. So those are our large vaccine clinics that we offer in this building for like 2 weeks. So they've got lots of opportunity. Walk in, they could schedule an appointment, or come to one of the mass vaccine clinics. Yeah. Thank you.
I also brought up some support from orientation transition experiences for these next questions all lumped together. One is, are parents and family members able to join Welcome Week programming and activities? And so maybe Samantha, you'd be best apt to respond to that.
Yeah, so great question. As I was going through all the activities, I'm sure as you were sitting, you were probably like, this is a really cool event. Welcome Week is happening for new students. So Welcome Week events, generally, it's not even open to any of our returning students too, which some of them are pretty bummed about. Again, there's a lot of free items. But so for family members and guests, they are not open to the public, so you're not able to attend them. The only one event if your student is a first-gen student, so a first-generation student to the university or for your institution through Gavin's office, Gopher Family Engagement, Families First. That's the only event that would be open to the public if your student if your student is a first-generation student. For new student convocation, there is a open Zoom link that family members and just guests of the university can participate in and watch that Zoom link. But besides those two events, our events are not open to the public, and they're also not open to returning students and or even like staff and faculty who aren't working at those events are not able to attend those events as well. But they're fun. So if you want to attend those, I encourage you to encourage your student to attend those events.
Vicariously through your student.
Yes, and so, I mean, there's lots of different information you can get. I think one of the other ways is that you could follow various social media accounts, whether it's Office for Student Affairs or Department of Public Safety, Housing, Orientation Transition Experiences. There will all be shared photos throughout the entire experience and throughout the year ahead of students having fun on campus, participating in all these activities and events. And then you all are already, currently, at least those of you live here in the theater, are participating in one of the offerings for family members currently throughout our Welcome to Campus time. As I mentioned, there will also be some webinars throughout the time ahead coming up that we'll be hosting on Zoom for family members to attend from wherever you are. And then the other that I would mention is in just a few short weeks, Family Weekend being on campus as well. Great time to come back to campus and reconnect with your students. So,
Can I throw a plug in real quick?
yes.
So, for parents, we have the Off-Campus Safety Center, which we opened last year in Dickeytown, which is in the city of Minneapolis, in the jurisdiction of the Minneapolis Police Department, in response to some safety concerns we were having in the area. So the Department of Public Safety opened an Off-Campus Safety Center. So tomorrow, while your students are doing all of that, from 1 to 4, you are more than welcome to come and join us at the Off-Campus Safety Center for our open house. The Off-Campus Safety Center is a safe study space off of campus for your students. It takes a U card to get in, so it's open to faculty, staff, and students. And there's always somebody from the Department of Public Safety there. It is open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. So it's a safe study space. If your student has any questions or would like to talk to somebody from the Department of Public Safety, we're also able to call Minneapolis Police Department, depending where an incident may happen. They might fall within their jurisdiction. We're able to call them to assist as well. But this is a safe place off of campus for your student to go to study. If they're part of a student group that needs a place to meet, they can also meet there. So we are having our open house tomorrow from 1 to 4. More than welcome to come in. If you follow the Department of Public Safety on social media channels, which is UofM Public Safety, we have a lot of opportunities for engagement. It's mostly for students, because again, we want to have those conversations for students, but all of those are also open to you, because we want to hear your safety concerns. I know you're going to see stuff on social media about Dickeytown, about crime on Dickeytown, crime on the University of Minnesota campus. I want to make sure you get the right information and the correct information. If you have safety concerns, we want to hear those concerns also. So any event that you see, we call them Cops and Coffee, Cops and Pizza, those are times where you can come to and talk to us about any safety concerns you might have on campus or around campus.
Also, if you're wondering about convocation, it's a little bit of a bookend to graduation. So think about what your student's high school commencement looked like, and convocation is going to look a little bit like that, just kind of in reverse. And so at the University of Minnesota, the faculty will march in, the students are all in there. Students get a chance to hear from President Cunningham, our brand new provost, Provost Ritter. She just started a month and a half ago. Or a month ago, I guess. And they will also get a chance to hear from a really inspirational faculty member, as well as the current student body president. So Riley is speaking. This is her, she began her term as student body president earlier this summer, and so this will be her opportunity to kick off and welcome our new incoming class. The marching band is also there. There's generally some fireworks. It's pretty cool to watch. So if you're looking for something to do on Thursday morning, highly recommend streaming convocation. It's a pretty cool way to see, again, the bookend of convocation at the beginning, commencement at the end.
We like to pretend that the marching band is a surprise.
Oh,
so
sorry.
if you could hold that back from your students, keep that for yourself. It's pretty exciting when they come out.
Sorry, Katie.
Let that out
Spoiled it out of the bag.
Any questions from those of you in attendance as well? I'd like to, I don't know if I've overtly made space for that. In the meantime, I have no shortage of questions. I can continue to go down the line here. In terms of payment deadlines, tuition, billing, and learning the timelines, making sure what is the best place to contact, and how can you keep track of those dates and deadlines best?
Yeah, there is a really nice table on the One Stop website. You can also add, if you use Google Calendar, you can add a calendar to yours that has those deadlines on there. I know I have that on my own, so that is out there. And if you're not sure how to do that, you can email onestop@umn.edu, or you can give them a call. So that office really prides itself on its fast response timeline. They track how long people wait for the phone to be answered. And so just know that if you call, there are people on the other end working very hard to get you, that they consider that part of their customer service metrics to be making sure they're serving people in a timely manner. But that is really where I would go with any of those questions.
Every year, at least one time during Welcome Week, I'll have a family member run up to me with a check. And they're like, we dropped our student off, but we haven't paid anybody anything yet. And that's good, you don't have to yet. So the billing statement won't come out until sometime in September, and then the first bill is due in later September, generally speaking, so you do not have to bring anybody a check this week.
This next one is, what resources do you think students should know about before they experience a crisis? Or if they were
Go
to.
first because you will have a more robust answer. But every student should know their academic advisor. They met an advisor at orientation. They will meet with an advisor this fall, at least in their first year. That is often the go-to. It is easier for a student to go to an academic advisor and say, I'm struggling with being nervous for tests, or I'm struggling with X tangible academic experience. And what they might really be feeling are bigger feelings about, do I belong here? Am I experiencing a mental health crisis? That's not usually what most of our students lead with if they don't have that language. So knowing their academic advisor is a safe person to go to, that they can have a safe conversation and then also share what they're really struggling with.
I will and I think that mentalhealth.umn.edu certainly is a resource. And where I would suggest is accessing Boynton Health. And so that really is going to be the A to Z services that might help support kind of pre-crisis, in crisis, and even post-crisis in terms of how to make sense of things. So I think, again, our walk-in counseling, again, that's that kind of same-day, urgent team that's available 8 to 4. And I think, too, starting wherever your entry point is to Boynton Health, it'll open up additional resources and opportunities for connection. And so I think I heard at one point we had over 600 student groups. I don't know, that seems more than that. So if you don't have a group, if there isn't a group, I've learned you can do a group with 2 people, right? So this is exciting. There are additional kind of support or more therapeutic groups offered through Boynton Health that really can help. I mean, this is a time of, it's a dynamic time for your student, a lot of self-exploration. So there are different groups that might be about learning about myself, about healthy relationships. What do healthy relationships look like? How do I start? How do I stop? How do I nurture relationships? Opportunities to look at anxiety or positive psychology, even getting healthy sleep. So I really, your entry point will then open up so many more resources and opportunities for students to connect and really helping to match at what level they need that. So I think, like anything, we want to be proactive and, as you say, establish care before you need it. And that's the ideal world. And we realize things may happen and all of a sudden they're in crisis. And so it's a both and. Students can access proactive so they have kind of a plan, or they also might need something urgently where they're walking in to our urgent team to address a situation that's really kind of exploded and they need support in the moment.
Then, of any of our panelists, is there anything that you wanted to share or has not come up yet that you just like to offer up for parents and family? Again, you don't need to, but just wanted to create that space if there is anything that you were hoping to get in on an example as kind of a last catch-all as we're about to wrap up our time here.
I would say your student has made a great choice. I think just sitting here with this panel, I am always amazed and impressed and appreciative of the people who are here and are ready to serve students. So the staff that are here, the faculty are exceptional. It's a good place to be.
I would offer that you're in really good company with other family members and folks that you know who are navigating this really big transition. And it's a big transition. It's big for your student, it's big for you all. I told the story in the last panel about one of our staff members who just last weekend dropped their student off at another institution. And she does this for a living, right? So she knows all of the things. And her student was there for 2 days and of course called on the third day and was like, Mom, I don't know if I've done the right thing. Am I in the right place? And she was able to come back and say to him, here's all the things we talked about. Don't forget to do this. What are you really worried about at this moment? And gave him some reminders and tips of things to do next. Her husband was in the background saying to her, should we go pick him up? And of course she was able to say, no, he's gonna be okay. It takes time. Samantha talked you through the W curve earlier. I would say not only can the W curve go over the course of the year, it also kind of hits every day in different ways. So they might have a honeymoon period in the morning and then a little bit of culture shock in the afternoon and a little more comfort in the evening before they go to bed, and then they'll kind of go through it again. Just know that that's part of the process. Help them not to freak out. Use your support system so you can freak out a little bit less, knowing that you probably will freak out at some moment, and know that we are here behind you, and so is Gavin, so don't hesitate to call Gavin along the way. Know that you're in good company, and we're really happy that you're here.
I think those are all good comments, and I just want to add that keeping them healthy, like they need to eat well, they need to get enough sleep, hydrate, move, do something fun, do some movement, have some social connection. So I think all those things keep us healthy, right? So if we don't have enough sleep, then we start to decompensate. So we really focus on like just make it really simple. Check in with them. How have you been sleeping lately? You're curious. Have you been tired in the morning when you're waking up? So all those things I think also help manage the stress if they have, again, some good food, which they will in the dining halls. There's tons of good food there. Not like when I was a student. Get enough rest. They can go to Recwell. They can go anywhere, do activities, games, movement. So there's lots of opportunities for them to find that balance. They'll need help. They'll take some time to find it, but I think that's going to help them as well.
I saw a hand raised.
Oh,
Yeah.
Any advice for the parents of international students?
Parents of international students.
Time difference.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I give you so much credit, and you are such a champion and so brave to send your student that far away from where you live. And as a parent myself, I can imagine the kind of deep breathing that I would need to do to navigate that. So I want to give you credit for that experience. I think depending on how far the time change is, setting up some times in advance to talk with your students. So maybe setting some expectations now about what times are going to be good to connect and what's the best way to connect. Is it through voice memo and sending it through text? Is it through Snapchat? Is it through just a regular text message, WhatsApp, any of those things, and set some regular benchmarks? I always like to tell families to talk with students about their expectations on how long it's okay to wait before responding. So, if you send a text message, how long is it going to be before you start really being nervous if they don't respond even with a thumbs up emoji? So setting some of those expectations. International students are also supported by our International Student and Scholar Services Office. Incredible team of warm and wonderful human beings who have been through it in some way, shape, or form. So encourage your student to touch base with them. You all can touch base with them as well. I think those are some of the best points. Again, set those touch points for when you know you're going to talk, whether it's in person or at a delayed time frame. And visit when you can. If you happen to be able to come back for family weekend, we would love to have you.
I know we've talked a lot, obviously, about your students and the student body. My other tip is to be gentle with yourselves. And so it's a huge transition for you and your family. If this is your first and only or your sixth and last, it's a huge transition. So just acknowledging that it's it's affecting you as well as your student. Yeah.
And bringing us to a close, I will take the last question because it seems like I almost planted it, and I promise I did not. But what resources or tools does the University of Minnesota provide for parents to stay informed about their child's academic journey, such as a parent portal or mobile app? And that is my full-time job, is to be here for you all, to support parents and family members and our student supporters. And so please continue to utilize Gopher Family Engagement through our online portal for families of Gopher Family Connection that I highlighted earlier. If you're looking for anything with that Google search as well, the UMN Family, UMN Parent will bring us up as well. We are peppered on a lot of your materials, your parent-family calendars, family folder, a whole bunch of ways that you can get in touch with Gopher Family Engagement. But we are here to support you no matter what, as often as you'd like. If it's daily, so be it. If it's once in a few years, also so be it. But we really hope to get to know all of you and are incredibly appreciative of you taking the time during this busy day to be here, be a part of this experience. We hope you found it beneficial as well. And I just want to give another thank you to our panelists for being here to give the information as well. And thank you to you all as well and for all you do for your students. And with that, we will adjourn.